celebrating 15 years of Young Turks.
Hello and welcome to Young Turks, India's longest running show on entrepreneurship. I'm Shireen Bhan. First up, here's a look at what we have lined up for you on the show today. Safetipin, a mobile app that collects and analyzes data regarding safety in public spaces. The startup story of Ankur Capital, an early-stage VC fund investing in agriculture, health and education. And all the action from the Shiro's Men's Conference coming up. Now, this has been a bad week when it comes to issues around women's safety. A horrific rape in an auto rickshaw in Gurugram is the latest headline. But there must have been at least several more across the country that have gone unreported. In the past couple of years, we've seen many mobile emergency apps and wearable devices that focus on safety. But one entrepreneur, Kalpana Sharma, believes that we need to move beyond emergency response to prevention. And that's the core philosophy behind a technology platform that she's built. It's called Safetipin. Now, this mobile app collects and analyzes data regarding safety in public spaces. In Delhi alone, this app has over 50,000 points that are mapped and have been given a safety score. We caught up with the social researcher turned entrepreneur to find out more about Safetipin. Take a look.
I always have that sense of fear when I'm alone in the city and I'm walking back home or I'm walking somewhere else.
I usually don't feel safe while taking the public transport, especially in the evenings.
I think that going out at night particularly is, it makes one think twice. It's quite ridiculous. I mean, a city should be accessible at all times.
People feel Delhi is an unsafe city. So many women will say, maybe I won't take a job which I have to come back late at night. So the feeling of safety actually has a lot of impact in the decisions we make in our life. Safetipin is a technology platform which has a mobile application to collect data about safety parameters in cities. Now, we use a tool called the safety audit, which is a methodology of assessing public spaces in cities to see what parameters in fact make people feel safe or unsafe.
At the core, Safetipin uses 9 parameters for its audit measures, which include lighting, visibility, crowd, presence of women, access to security, and availability of public transport, to name a few. To do this, Safetipin has 2 apps. My Safetipin, which allows individual users to conduct safety audits by pinning a place where she feels safe or unsafe and by reporting any form of harassment. This data is then crunched into a safety score that can be viewed by anyone on the platform. It can also be used to move around safely, especially when you're traveling to a new city.
We are producing data not just for the sake of data. We are using this data in order to convince governments and other stakeholders to improve public spaces in cities. So when we say that a safety score of a neighborhood is 2 on 5, our work doesn't end there. Our work then goes on to trying to contact the people in that neighborhood, whether it's a local municipality or the police or the city government or the public works department, to say this is what the data shows. If there's poor lighting, we also unpack why is the lighting poor. Is it that there's no light pole? Is it that there is a broken light? And this is the kind of data we then provide to the government.
Now, the other app that the team has developed, it's called Safetipin Night. This app has been specifically designed to collect large-scale data by taking photographs of the city. To do this, users can attach a phone to the windscreen of a car and the app photographs the city at regular intervals as the car moves along.
So for example, in Delhi, we have covered 6,300 kilometers of road with this data. Now, when we have this kind of data, we can go to the government and say, listen, these are your problem areas and you can prioritize to improve this or to improve that. For example, in Gurgaon, the Gurgaon administration, they asked us, can you give us the data where crowd is high but lighting is low, so that we know those should be our priorities. People are going but there's no light. So we will immediately fix those lights.
While the app is free for users to download, Safetipin has converted its partnerships with governments, UN bodies and international agencies into monetizable opportunities.
City governments themselves, UN bodies, other international agencies who work on these public issues. Like for example, now there's a social SDGs which have come out, Sustainable Development Goals. One of them is creating inclusive and safe public spaces. So governments are committed now to actually report on this SDG. So they have to start doing things for it. The Smart City Initiative. We are now in conversation with several smart cities. What we are providing for them is a GIS layer of data over and above. So they look at things like public transport, they look at where public toilets are. We are providing another GIS layer which tells you where there are lights, where the streets are walkable, where public transport is there, where people are there, where it's open. So we are actually packaging our data as a GIS layer for city governments, and really in the context of the smart city, that is our business model where cities are willing to now pay for this data.
Kalpana was recently recognized as the 2017 Global Urban Innovator by New Cities Foundation and is all set to represent India at the New Cities Summit in South Korea. With 80,000 app downloads so far, Safetipin wants to establish its presence in 50 cities by the end of 2018.
Well, our takeaway is simple. A place can truly be called a smart city where citizens feel a sense of ownership and the city and its public spaces are available for all, irrespective of gender. With that, it is time for us to take a break. But on the other side, the startup story of Ankur Capital, an early-stage venture capital fund investing in agriculture, health and education. Stay on with us. You're watching Young Turks.
Celebrating 15 years of Young Turks.